Hi everyone, it's Kelly here with Flying Unicorn. I am going to do some basic background work with you. I haven't really planned anything. I never plan my pages ahead of time, so I'm just going to kind of show you my process. The paper I've chosen is from the Prima Lifetime collection, and I'm actually just going to use the back side of this. It's kind of a cool texture and it's really neutral. I'm going to be working with a prima stencil as well. And basically I'm just going to start with modeling paste. I use Liquitex, just whatever brand you like, go ahead and use that. Most of you probably know how to use this already, so I'm just going to make quick work of that, and then we're going to get into some other things too. So there we go. And I just kind of go here and there. I haven't quite decided where I want my photo yet, but this is how I start all of my pages. Okay, so I've done that, and before I lift up my stencil, I'm going to spray. I'm using Lindy's in Cotton Candy Pink, and I spray a little bit over where the modeling paste was. And then lift it up, and then I like to flip it. Kind of push down. You're going to kind of mess up some of the spots that you stenciled, but that's okay. I like a little bit of a messy look. Lift that up, and I'm just going to pause for a minute to go clean my stencil. Okay, now after I cleaned my stencil, I did dry this a little bit with a heat gun. There's some wet spots, but that's okay. I'm going to bring my stencil back in, and I'm going to use a matte gel medium and do the same thing as I did with the modeling paste and go over some of the same spots. That there, and then another thing I like to do is take one of the engel chalk inks and go under the area that I'm going to put the gel medium, and it'll just kind of give it a little bit of color because it dries clear. So I'm just kind of thinking my photo will be right in the middle, so just kind of go out from there. Just fill in those squares. It doesn't have to be perfect. Well, I prefer it to not be perfect. And then I'll take that gel medium again and kind of go over those spots, and it'll smear that ink a little bit, and I just think it looks really neat. Now you'll see you really pick up that color off of there, and that's perfectly fine. A little bit more up here. Okay, once again, I am going to clean this and dry that with my heat gun. Okay, so this is all dry, and now I also chose a photo. I'm going to use this one of my little girl on her birthday, and this is where I decide what other colors I'm going to use. I usually like to try and play off the photo a little bit. Starting with these mixed media inks, I just love these. They're really fun to play with. I like to use my hands to apply them. They're really fun to blend. This is just the way I work. I really liked this one. This is Peaches, and it goes just perfectly with my pictures. So what I like to do is just get that on my fingers, and then I'll blend right over some of those squares. And I like that the ink really shows up in between the masked areas, and then not so much on the raised areas, a little bit, but I just think it looks really neat. I'll use a little bit of the peach. Like I said, my photo is probably going to be right about there. And just keep blending it in. There's probably a better way to do this one that's a little less messy, but I don't mind making a mess of my hands. I really like this one. This is Peridot. And this color really doesn't go that well with my picture, but I just have to use it, so it'll just be, I'll use a little bit less of this one probably. Oops. You could also use a blending tool or a sponge. This is how I work. Then next I'm going to go back to the engel chalk ink I was using. That's Blossom Tree. It's the same one I used on these squares, and I'm just going to kind of brush over some of those areas. I like these colors mixed together. And if you're gentle enough, it'll only hit the raised areas. This looks kind of neat. And then, let's see, also use pastel blue. And over here where the gel medium had no color in it, where I hadn't mixed the pink into it, they dry clear so it's hard to see, but as soon as you put an ink over, they really pop out and get a really nice subtle texture. Okay, now I'll grab another one of these mixed media inks. This one is Jasmine. Just to really help blend these colors together. Okay. Okay, next step, I want to kind of highlight some of these squares, and also I need to pull out this bright reddish color in my photo and kind of incorporate that into my background so that everything blends well. So I've chosen another Lindy's Mist. This one is Autumn Maple Crimson. And what I'm going to do with this is just spray a little bit on my mat, and then grab a paintbrush and just kind of start painting some of these little squares. And they don't need to be done perfectly, just enough to give a little bit of color. And if you're painting over where that ink was, it's going to blend in a little bit, but that's okay. This is quite the bright color, so fine with that. Just going to paint some here and there, and then as I go, I might want to add more. I'll probably end up covering some of them up anyways. Paper towel and dab up some of them. There we go. So you're get rid of some of the harsh color. It really blends nicely. Okay, and now I've also cut some of these little doodled flowers from one of the Prima Lifetime papers. I'm going to add those into my background here and there. I'm just going to glue them down. And I don't know how many times I have done this now on projects. I just love these flowers. Go up here with that one. Okay, and then I'll go back to these mixed media inks and just kind of color those flowers a little bit, just so they match nicely with the page. Like I said, these inks are just so easy to use. They blend so nicely. Okay, so that is my background. I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of my page and then come back and show you what I've done, and then I usually do some touching up to the background afterwards to make sure everything looks just how I want it. Okay, so I have built up my page, I added my embellishments, my title, and there's a few things I'm just not happy with. Since this is kind of moved a little bit towards the bottom, this corner here is really empty where there's so many squares up here and there's just a couple down here, and I want to fix that. And so what I'm going to do first is just cover up my photo. I'm just using a scrap of product packaging. Just going to cover up my picture, make sure that's protected. I'm going to put my stencil back on here. And I think this time I'm just going to go over it with a little modeling paste to add just a few more of those little squares in there. Just try to make sure it's straight. I might actually go over my paper layers back here just so everything blends really nice. And like I did at the very beginning, I'm just going to go and mist right over a little bit. And let's see, pull that back up. That looks a lot better, so I'm going to dry that with my heat gun and come right back. Okay, that's all dry. I'm just going to paint over some of those squares again. Oh, it's just a lot of spray. Use this darker color to paint over some of these once again, just so it kind of mimics what we have up here. I'd like everything to look balanced. Okay, another thing I wanted to do is take a little bit of this peach. This is Cockabell's Coral, and I just kind of, I better cover up my photo. This is how I ruin so many photos. Cover that up. I just kind of lift up some of my embellishments here and just kind of spray underneath, and so it'll kind of come out a little bit of the color. It just makes everything blend so nicely. And I think I'll use that cotton candy pink again too. Okay, see how that looks. Okay. I like that. And then grab, oops, a little bit of gesso here on my mat. And then I'll take one of these sponges, just kind of dip it in the gesso and then dab some of it off so it's not real thick. And I like to highlight around my photo with that, just make it nice and bright. I think it really helps to draw attention to the photo. And then I'll probably go ahead and do that up here as well, kind of just gently lift everything up. Go over any parts that get a little muddy like this did. It was just, the color just didn't look really nice, so kind of blend back over that with white. This just gives everything a kind of a soft look. Okay, and then just the rest of that up. Something I'm not liking is there's just this big blotch of blue that looked nice before I put all of my embellishments down, but now it just looks like a big blue patch. So to fix that, I'm going to take that ink again and just kind of start blending it in, blending it over so it's just not that big pop of blue up there that looks like it's not supposed to be there. Kind of blend it even into the spot, the paint right here that's still wet. And then same with down here, there isn't any blue here and everything just looks unbalanced to me. So I'll go and blend some blue in here. And then maybe up here a little bit too, just so it all kind of flows together. Add a little of that blue to the tips of the flowers. This ink is so nice, it's almost like using a paint, it's so wet. Add them to the tip of my flowers. I just really work with my colors to help everything to blend nicely. The project just doesn't seem done until it really works. Until I look at it and think that the colors just look perfect, and I'll just keep going like this until I feel that way. I think we're getting there. So now what I'm seeing is, you know, this darker color, pink, red here and up here, and there I've added a little over here, but there isn't anything up here, so I am going to take this, and I don't think this sprayer is working real well, so I'm gonna just add a little bit here, and maybe just paint a couple more of these little squares on this side. this is just all part of my process. I pretty much go back and forth and back and forth, balancing things until they look right to me. It can be kind of time consuming, but that's okay. Add a little bit of this to the tips of my flowers. Okay, I will probably go back and mess with that a little more. That's just kind of what I do, but we get the basic idea, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you.